is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Ricky Emerson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 to lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the third round of the Velocity Racing League Cup Series. And I excuse myself as I say it is the fourth round, as we are here today at USA International for the Gator 200. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight, along with my esteemed colleague as he has returned from his vacation, Gareth McAllister. Welcome back to the booth, buddy. It is great to have you back, and like I mentioned before we went live here, you missed out on quite a bit of action here, but it is great to have you back here today, and it's going to be some great action here at USA International. Some short, flat track racing that we're going to see here today between these drivers, and as they get set out for qualifying, Gareth, I mean, what are we expecting to see here from these drivers? And I mean, what are you hoping to see here today, given that you've had a little bit of a break away from the action here, and now getting a chance to kind of get back into the flow of things and see what these guys have to offer here at USA?
Well, first of all, g'day everyone, and g'day to yourself, Mason. But yeah, it's good to be back. I've thoroughly missed a lot of action, as you've just described, and I have no doubt that there would have been a whole heap of action. It is very nice to be back. I think today we're going to be seeing a whole lot of passing opportunities. It's a very small 0.7 mile track here at USA International Speedway. You know, I mean, we've got 200 laps of this thing. It's going to be, I think you're going to see a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing. It might turn out to be single file a little way through, but I think it should be nice on the whole. Dawn Hillbrands, I can see in the chat, welcoming me back. Thank you very much, Dawn. I've missed you. It's nice to see you too. Lisa MW saying hi to everyone as well. So good to have the support in the chat again. Not just for me, but also for yourself as well, Mason, as well as the drivers and teams involved in this one. So yeah, looking for a very good race here at USA International from these guys at VRL.
Absolutely, yeah. And Tony Hillbrand's currently taking the pole at the moment with a 21.38 as his best time around. Aaron Smith very close behind with a 21.41 in second place. And Nathan Gutierrez, after coming away with a pole last week at Sebring. It's great to see Nathan doing well here again at the short track of USA International with a 21.47, and from there it kind of tapers off a little bit between each driver. And again, I mean, this is lone qualifying for these drivers, so not everyone is going to have the best qualifying that they want to have every single time. So some drivers may get a little bit too hot into coming out of turn 2, for example, and you ultimately spin out. That's going to hurt your time. And you're not going to be able to utilize those 2 laps that are usually given to you for qualifying. And we're looking at James Coulibaly, the number 22 machine, going to see where he can set himself up on the timing tower, and that's going to push him into 13th with a 21.87. Charles Jurek taking that 12th place spot with a 21.70. And folks, this will be the first short track on the schedule here of the 2023 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. So these drivers are getting the whole experience of race car driving in the first opening weeks here in the start of this season, Gareth. And I gotta say, I mean, going from super speedways to road courses to short tracks, and next week, if I recall correctly, if I can pull it up here,
It's Atlanta
Motor Speedway. So yeah, we've got a lot of great action here right out of the gate for the start of this season. I don't think I would have it any other way, Gareth.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't really describe it other than it's a mixed bag. And personally, I love that kind of format. You know, it really shakes things up, really tests the drivers week in, week out on different skill sets. And I think we're going to see an example of just who can perform at short tracks here tonight, as we've already seen 3 different winners. And yeah, it should keep on providing that sort of action as it keeps on going to all these different places so quickly. But you mentioned single car qualifying. I mean, Mason, I can't imagine how yeah, can you imagine plus 20 machines going around 0.75 of a mile trying to qualify at the same time? I mean, I think these drivers are pretty happy at single car quali.
You know, and I would have to agree with you there, Gareth. I know that they do it in the real world, where they'll have some cars out on track doing qualifying at the same time for dirt track racing. If you watch a lot of the late model racing that happens throughout the Midwest and beyond. But that's neither here nor there. That is not what we are here for today, as drivers getting lined up at the starting line here for the start of the Gator 200. And at USA International, Tony Hillbrands is going to take the grid here today, as we're going to go through our starting lineup. Tony Hillbrands, Aaron Smith up in the front row, Anathian Gutierrez, Jaden Hopp taking the second row, Scott Shire, Jeffrey Fisher taking up the third row here tonight, Howie Briss, Ashley Lyle in the fourth row. Great to see Ashley back out here again here today. James Miller, Jason Tamer out in the fifth row. Michael Keithley, Charles Jurek taking up the sixth row, and Gareth, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, seventh row we have Patrick Colby starting alongside James Coulibaly, Matthew Fitz, and Sean Williams going to be in the eighth row. Nicholas Corsell and Benjamin Lacey are going to be in the sixth. Is that the sixth? That's the ninth row, isn't it? I don't know why I got that wrong. Steve Ulrich and Michael Ashmore are going to be in the 10th row. There we go. I'm back up to it. Thomas Sewell and Howie Dietrich are going to be in your 11th row. And Logan Jones starting solo at the back of the pack in the 12th row, back in 23rd position. So it's a pretty healthy grid here today, and it is looking like it's going to be pretty intense as we get ready to go underway behind the safety car.
Yeah, I think it is going to be an interesting day here for these drivers as we set off and get ourselves ready for the green flag to drop here for the first time here at Lakeland. And I gotta say, you know, looking at the notes that we have going into tonight here as well, it is going to be a bout of attrition here for these drivers. A full fuel window is looking at about 130 to 140 laps. Granted, tires are going to get worn out significantly faster than your fuel is going to here at a track like this. Short track and flat tracks especially are rather ruthless on those tires, and it takes a very skilled driver to be able to keep them in condition, in a good enough condition for an extended period of time here. So as we get ourselves shaped up and ready to go here for the start of today's race, and I gotta say, big shout out to Tony Hillbrands for being up here on the front row for the start of this race here, qualifying at the tippy top among the entire field here. So great performance right out of the gate for the 92 Phenom Paint Shop machine. Will that performance carry forward into a good long run stint for Tony Hillbrands? And for Aaron Smith and Nathan Gutierrez, after coming away with last week's win and pole at Sebring International, these two drivers going to be looking to continue on their path of success here at Lakeland. As we come out of turn number 4, the pace car making its dive down into the pits. And away we go here for the very first time as drivers exit turn number 4, and the green flag drops here for the very first time. We go racing at Lakeland as Tony Hillbrands gets on the gas, and away he goes, and building up a solid gap here between himself and the rest of the field, and side-by-side racing through 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway, heading into 3 and 4 We've got the number 4 of Scott Shire leading the field, leading a huge pack of drivers right behind the top 4 at the moment. Gareth, things are getting spicy here in the midfield.
Oh, absolutely. These drivers are really pushing hard to see if they can get around each other. You can see the 97 just underneath the 06 there. That is Howie Briss underneath Jeffrey Fisher. And they're looking very, very close indeed, as Fisher is struggling to get down onto the low side, which is really where you want to be, especially these short tracks. And USA International is no exception, as the short way around is much quicker than the high side because there is no drive off the corner. And you can see Fisher just continues to drop back down. Starting on that outside line is really not helping his situation, as he's finally able to get back in line. But there continues to be side-by-side battling going on slightly further back in the pack as well. As, yep, they're just cars everywhere. I find it a struggle to almost keep up with, you know, there's not a whole heap of cars. I mean, 23 cars on such a short track like this. I say not a whole heap. That's a lot of machines, a lot of horsepower fighting for very little real estate.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, and this is going to be an intense day of racing for these drivers, and for the next 195 laps, they have to keep their cool and keep themselves, well, from making any sort of big mistakes here early on, as there's a lot of racing left to be done here. While the laps are going to be clicked off relatively quickly here, we're seeing lap times just about 21-22 seconds at the moment. It can feel like an eternity behind the wheel once you've been there for a significant amount of time here. But looking at Scott Shire and the number 4 Fox machine here as they come out of turn 4 and across the checkered line, a little bit of a snack to the wall from the 97 machine of Howie Briss. That's going to slow him down. James Miller, the 09, is going to capitalize on that mistake here on the inside. Out of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway, heading back into turn number 3. Miller still down on the inside here on the bottom lane. Exiting turn 4, Ashley Lyle going to step back in on the rear of that 09 machine. She's trying to figure out who she wants to draft with here and pick the better lane, and it seems like these two are both just fighting tooth and nail, which is exactly what I'd expect here from this short track racing. And so far, I think it is delivering in that on that nature.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Lyle was really trying hard to get underneath Briss and keep him up high so that she could get that free spot effectively as he was stuck on the high side, but just not able to do so as Howie Briss made his way back into the proper line on the bottom side pretty quickly, so not quite able to do it as we got a battle going on here. That is the Fallout machine, still continues to go around. I do not know why he continues to broadcast that to everyone, because that is not a great game, but there it is. So, well, I mean, I think he's got DayZ on the side as well, Charles Jurek, so, you know, we can give him that compliment at least.
Yeah, he's definitely redeemed himself of that that Fallout 76 paint scheme that he had last year during the 2022 VRL Cup Series, and has since added a DayZ scheme to that 76 machine. So, you know what, I'll take it. That's definitely a redemption here, as we've got action here with James Miller involved. Oh boy, the 09 of James Miller and Scott Shire and the number 4 Fox machine both getting into a little bit of trouble here as the yellow flag comes out. We're going to take a look at the instant replay, see exactly how this one unfolded here. It seems to be there might have been a little bit of... Oh
yeah.
Oh,
looks
boy.
like Miller tried to go for that inside line and just got cut off a little bit there, but you know, no harm, no foul. Just really tight racing here at the short track.
Yeah, luckily no one seems to be in serious critical damage or anything of that nature. It seems like both drivers are going to be able to walk away from that one relatively unscathed, as the 45 and a few other drivers making their way down into the pits here, assuming to grab top off on fuel, whatever the case might be able to go a little bit longer before having to come back down into the pits here. And it looks like that might be the case here for a lot of drivers, as we see them all making their way down and through pit road. Back up towards the front of the field, though, we have Tony Hilbrands and Nathan Gutierrez and Jaden Hopp, all 1, 2, and 3 here. Aaron Smith opting to take a take a lap down pit road here during this caution, and is going to come back out 19th at the moment. So gonna have a little bit of work ahead of him to get back towards the front of the field, but knowing the number 70 driver, I realistically don't think he's gonna have much trouble with that at all. He is quite the driver, and is shown that he knows what he's doing, not only on the road courses but on the ovals as well. But tonight seems to be Tony Hilbrand's night, as he's looking to secure a win here early on in the start of this season, and having come close in a few different races here, and actually, well, I take that back here. Nope, never mind. I'm getting myself all sorts of mixed up here, and I gotta go back to myself and recorrect myself and say that this is actually the third race. When I said that in the opener that it was the fourth, I was again doubting myself. I seem to do that a lot, Gareth. I don't know, I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's okay, Mason. I'm here now. You're okay. No, but no, you do a great job, Mason. I gotta be real. I'm sure everyone's thoroughly enjoyed. I've enjoyed, actually. I've been sitting on the sidelines and watching a couple of the races, must admit, while I've been away supposedly on holiday. So that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's great to see Tony. He does so much to organize this kind of series and everything as well. So it's nice to see him not only doing so much work for the rest of the drivers in the back of the grid and towards the middle part, but just also being able to lead and find himself up front. So it's great to see him there. And another thing to talk about, we've got 5 sets of tires behind pit wall, and our fuel window is 130 to 140 laps. Now, they are going to run out of tires well before the fuel window becomes an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no question, and I talked a little bit about that earlier as well, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot sooner than 130, 140 laps before drivers want to come down into the pits, and that's probably the reason why we see a lot of drivers coming down into the pits now to top off on fuel, because realistically, they'll be able to stay out now at least another 12, maybe 10 laps, we'll say, just a little bit of a buffer there. But as we go back to green flag racing here, Gareth, you make a very good point that these drivers are going to come down a lot sooner than what the fuel window is currently predicting for us here today. But as a 3 wide action coming out of 1 and 2, and Charles Jurek, bit of contact between them, as the 62 of Jason Tamer right smack dab in the middle of the sandwich there, able to escape from that, and now is back in the chase here. 2 wide action continues throughout the field here as drivers continue their bouts on track here. It is rather chaotic here on this restart, Gareth.
It is beggars belief how Jason Tamer managed to not have an issue through there. That's some insane drive from him, being stuck in the meat sandwich, as you said there. But it's these drivers. I mean, I say it week in and week out whenever I'm here, but these drivers, you can't take anything away from them. They all know how to drive very, very well. They're all very quick, and yeah, they're all very safe. So I mean, that's a great thing to see as we start looking at the battle here. Just in front of Aaron Smith, that's Matthew Fitz and Benjamin Lacey, I believe, going side by side. And speaking of Aaron Smith as well, he's got Miller just past him. And what has happened just in front of the camera? I'm glad we were looking in on that. I'm still going to need a replay to see exactly what happened, but wow.
Yeah, both James Coulibaly and Aaron Smith showing up as involved in this one. Let's see if we can get another look here. See exactly what unfolded here. Might have been another bit of contact. There it is. The number 7 gets a little too close to the rear end. Aaron Smith getting pinched in between a race car and the wall. Able to get away from it, but it looks like he's going to be relatively unscathed as well. So fortunately for Aaron Smith, not a huge deal. It's going to obviously have some effect on his incident points here tonight, but if I recall correctly, here at Velocity Racing League, they don't. Maybe they do have a cap. I don't quite remember. But either way, we won't get into the nitty-gritty details of the Velocity Racing League rule book. But What we will get into detail of is just what these drivers are going to be trying to do now, strategy-wise. What some of these drivers are going to be thinking. You know, having 2 cautions already early in this race is got to put some questions in the drivers' minds. I mean, how long are, you know, granted, it's only 2 yellows so far, so it's not a huge deal, but you got to still, as a driver, you got to be thinking about, okay, is there going to be a point in time where, you know, we're going to be out on track under yellow for so long that I have to account for that in my strategy. You know, it becomes a weird game of balance, but I don't think it'll be a huge issue for these drivers. They usually, when situations like this happen, the field just kind of finds a way to tighten things up and make things run a little bit snappier, a little bit better, and the racing just keeps getting better and better as time goes on. But a little bit of a rough start, a little bit of hiccups at the beginning, but mostly just short track racing. I mean, that's what it boils down to here at the moment. So it's again not anything to be concerned about. It's just drivers doing driver things.
Absolutely. It just looked like Koulibaly didn't get on the gas as quickly as the number 7 predicted, so got a little bit of a turn there on exit. But yeah, you know, it's just racing is racing, and you know what this isn't actually doing, these cautions really, is this is bringing back the this is really, I'm not sure, I'm not saying this right, but this is basically what it's doing is it's allowing the tires to last longer than they otherwise would be. So a lot of these guys, you know, we've seen all the way up until 13th place with Patrick Colby back there in 13th. He's the first one that has come down pit road out of this grid. So the top 12, not one of them is pit yet. And that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the long run. But if we continue to have cautions like this, it probably will not become much of a factor whether they've come down or not. Nicholas Corsell, down in 17th, has come down to pit road 3 different times. So he's going to be, I guess, pit road's favorite racer at the moment, as he's visited quite a few times. But we're getting ready to go back to green. Tony Hilbrands and Nathan Gutierrez are starting on the front row. Jaden Hopp, Howie Briss on the second row, and Ashley Lyle with Michael Keithley are going to be in your third row. So definitely going to be a rough start from that outside line. Let's see if Nathan can really find something to do here. I should say Gutierrez, as that's what you can see on the timing board here. So we can see, we'll have a look at what he can do as they make their way to green.
Out of turn 4 and away we go here once again as the green flag drops from the flag stand. Tony Hilbrands back on the loud pedal in through 1 and 2, and as the field side by side through 1 and 2 out onto the back straightaway, things looking relatively calm. Drivers giving each other a little bit more distance in this time, and as Charles Jurek, the number 76 machine, goes for a ride, the 77 of, I believe, Thomas Sewell also getting involved. Nicholas Coruscant, I think, also getting into that here as well. Wow. Definitely not how we wanted that to start here, but that is going to be a third caution here for these drivers, and they're going to get another opportunity to get a fresh restart in here. But that incident is exactly what we were just talking about. Drivers just getting a little too heated with, well, not heated, but just getting a little too close to one another. Just everyone's excited. Everyone's got all the energy built up in them. They're ready to go racing, and frankly, I don't blame them. But sometimes that can mean that. And unfortunately,
it actually looked like, well, from what I could see, it looked like Jurek was actually behind Keithley, a little bit on the higher side, and Keithley checked up more than he was expecting. So Jurek just came down, and as he came down, he was carrying slower speed as well, as the accordion effect took place, and he got unfortunately run into the back of due to that fact. So that's almost what it looked like from my perspective. Yeah, just tries to fill that gap, and it wasn't quite as open as he thought.
Yeah, and unfortunately for for Charles Jurek. He kind of started a chain reaction there as other drivers started to get themselves involved in their own little incidents separate of that one, mostly just drivers reacting to that ahead of them and maybe reacting a little bit too much. And sometimes that's what happens as a driver. You know, you only have so many seconds, so many precious seconds to react to wrecks and things of that nature, and especially in real life racing, those seconds can mean the difference between a very costly hospital bill or in some cases even worse, which no one ever wants to see. But fortunately, in the world of sim racing, we don't have to worry about those things. So the worst that you end up with is a mental boo-boo, and maybe you go to bed crying that night. I don't know, whatever helps you sleep better. But that's not how that's not how everyone handles it.
That's not entirely true, because if you have a direct drive wheel, those things can be pretty brutal.
Yes, there definitely is.
Like I'm not trying to say you're wrong, because I agree with you, but yeah, there's still a bit of injury that can result. But
yes.
Regardless, I will say that all those drivers towards the back of the pack were actually pretty good at locking the brakes down. Like, that could have been a lot worse than we saw. It could have been cars flipping all over the place, but it was very minor spins, and I think that's what we like to see.
Yes, exactly. And it's that level of experience, that level of attention that these drivers have that make this series what it really is. It's just a fantastic series, and everyone that's involved in it, they all make it what it is here today. And frankly, Gareth, I'm just glad that you and I are the ones that get to cover these races and bring the action to the folks watching at home, because I don't think we would have anything better to do on Monday nights. Well, Monday nights for me, it's Tuesday for you, or wherever it is.
Yeah, Tuesday midday.
Yeah, I'm still not used to that, but hey, you know what? We make it work. Anyhow, pace car is back in, and coming out of turn 4, Tony Hillbrands and Nathan Gutierrez side by side, and the leader is off. Tony Hillbrands right onto the loud pedal and away into turns 1 and 2, and the field is chasing him right on behind. And Nathan in the 07 machine doing a real good job staying right on the tail of the leader. He almost going to try and get onto the inside here and see what he can do, but just a little bit of a short peek at Nathan Gutierrez riding from the roof camera here, just getting a little bit of a better perspective of the racing here at Lakeland. Right onto the bumper of the 92. Very, very good action. Go ahead, Gareth.
I was just going to say, you could see when you were on the roof cam that Gutierrez was just getting around the corner a little bit better, it actually looked like, than Tony Hillbrands at the moment. Just seems to have a little bit better of a drive off and a little bit better through the corner. Just not having the dive down onto the actual the start of turns 1 and 3 themselves. So unfortunate there, as we got the 06 falling back a little bit. That was actually a big checkup. Very surprised to see Jeffrey Fisher managing to actually hold that one down and trying to go now underneath Jason Tamer. And they're going to be 2 wide. I don't know how many rows deep that is, but it is a lot, probably at least 5, as they're 2 wide all over the place. And this is just great racing. You can see the very vivid paint job of Aaron Smith's yellow banana in the background. So he's also side by side as everyone continues to work out and find their place in this race. At the moment is the 7 machine of, I believe that's who's number 7 again? Because I don't have number 7 on my timing sheet.
I believe that is Benjamin Lacey, showing as the number 27 in timing and scoring, but he is the number 7 on the racetrack at the moment.
Right, that was throwing me for a loop, but yeah, so so Benjamin Lacey is trying to work his way underneath Jason Tamer now, and that is going to be very close. Those 2 red machines right next to each other, almost banging doors, deciding not to bang doors, probably the better move, as they continue to go side by side. And there is a big battle going on just behind them as well, and just in front there's battles everywhere. What happened to Hillbrands? All of a sudden he's in 4th. What? I'm sad we missed it, but definitely something happened. Whether he got caught on the outside or what, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I just happened to look up and notice it as I looked away for a second, but we can take a quick gander at the moment that Nathan Gutierrez made the pass here on Tony Hillbrands down onto the inside, and it looks like Tony Hillbrands might have just made a slight mistake going through 1 and 2, and that allowed Nathan to get by, and also Jaden Hopp and Ashley Lyle to sneak in there as well. So Tony Hillbrands now currently fighting back into the top 3 at the moment, trying to stick with the pack and not fall back any further. Howie Briss also here in the top 5, trying to secure a good finish here tonight, as well as we're about 10 laps to lap 50, and seeing all the good action that we have here today is honestly just a really, really great thing to see. And more battles continuing to happen throughout the midfield. Just keeping an eye out for them, as almost looked like 3-wide action just behind these drivers here with Nicholas Coruscant, Matthew Fitz, and Thomas Sewell. Actually, that's not Thomas Sewell. I believe that is a lap down driver of Logan Jones? No, that is... I'm confused now. Okay.
Logan Jones showing as number 3. But then there's an O. I think there's an 03 somewhere as well. No, there's not. I'm thrown for a loop as well. It's hard to keep track of all the action on a short track as the yellow banana goes for a spin. And no caution light, so we're going to stay green for the moment, which is amazing stuff. Smith is going to come down pit lane, get any small repairs done. And that looked like a little bit of contact with I know it was a white and blue car, but I'm not exactly sure what the number was. I was just not quick enough to see it. But yeah, very unfortunate, but very fortunate for these drivers up front not to bring out the caution.
Yeah, very, very fortunate, very lucky for this field not having the 4th yellow fly here today, at least not yet. There's still quite a bit of racing left to do here, so we won't exactly hold our breath on that. But either way, managing to avoid that caution for now is going to definitely help these drivers get a little bit longer run in, hopefully continue the green flag runs here until their expected pit windows here, which some drivers are making their way through here. Howie Dietrich down in the pits right now, and Aaron Smith down there trying to get his machine worked out and see if they can get that machine fixed and back out on track here before too long. And as right now, we're taking a look at the battle for 11th place at the moment, or rather 10th place, as Patrick Colby, Jason Tamer both duking it out side by side. And it looks like Patrick Colby's selling feet pics on his OnlyFans account. So make sure you guys, support your Patrick Colby, the number 9 driver, and yeah, get on that. So anyway, I'm only kidding.
Nice. Don't. I cannot believe you said that. What are you doing? Oh man.
It's okay. It's fine.
Oh, but Colby did regardless, Patrick Colby did an amazing move around the outside of Jason Tamer there. Very dominant performance. So that was a great. I'm gonna need a moment.
Well, as I have currently broken Garrett, he's gonna have a moment to himself. Hopefully you folks watching at home got yourself a good chuckle out of that. But Jason Tamer, Charles Jurek both continue their battle here for 11th place. The one that I was initially thinking that we were watching, but it was in fact for 10th place. But either way, Jurek, the number 76 machine, going to be down on the inside of Jason Tamer's 62 Soul Selects machine. And right now, Jurek is going to be the driver out on top of that. A little bit of a wobble there from the 62. Corcel going to look down on the inside here. A little close, almost banging wheels with one another as they continue their fight out of turn 4. Onto the front straightaway across the checkered line. Back into 1 and 2. Corcel continuing the fight here. And it's getting real close for these drivers. As the 06 machine, or the 09 machine, excuse me, James Miller trying to get himself his lap back at the moment, as he's going to be among one of the only drivers out of 3 that are going to be down laps at this moment. So Miller trying to do everything that he can in that Tim Hortons 09 machine to keep himself in the action here. But Gareth, it is looking mighty, mighty spicy out here at the moment. More action continuing up here in the battle for 8th place with Jeffrey Fisher, Scott Shire, and the legendary Patrick Colby.
Oh, absolutely. These three drivers, now that I've had a time to wipe away my tears, these three drivers are doing a phenomenal job of really, they almost look like they're working together to try and catch. And as I say that, of course, once again, thrown for a loop as the 4 machine of Scott Shire is looking to come underneath Jeffrey Fisher and does so as Fisher's still on the high side. We haven't seen that high side work so well so far, but Patrick Colby has made it work somehow in the past, but is now working the low side underneath Jeffrey Fisher, so going to take that spot away and going up into the 9th position. We do have battles all over the track. You could really throw a blanket over many different cars in this field, but at the moment we've just panned back to look at Jason Tamer, and it looks like Sean Williams going side by side. Williams taking over that spot on the outside as well. So Tamer falling back behind a little bit at the moment. I would say, oh, there's a car going very wide. Not sure exactly who that was. Potentially a lap down machine, I'm not quite sure, but our biggest move of the race so far, Benjamin Lacey, up 12 spots, up in the 6th position. So that is great to see, as well as this battle. Oh, they get so close. Oh God, it looks so close between all the cars when they go into, especially with some of these camera angles, when they go into, make their way into 1 and 3. Especially in 3, we're seeing a lot more passes than down into 1. Could be interesting to see why that is. I'd have to ask the drivers in the booth later on at the end of this one to ask them why that is. As you can see, Tamer has just fallen down the order a little bit there, now losing another spot to Matthew Fitz. So going down in the 15th spot, having a little bit of a tough time of it, and that may be due to the tires starting to fall off, as he's one of those drivers that did not come down pit road so far.
Yeah, it's starting to get very close to that mark where drivers are going to need to come down into the pits and grab a fresh set of tires, and I think it's going to be within the next few laps. I would have to say in the next 10 laps. These cars are definitely starting to become a lot more difficult to handle, and I can't imagine that anyone's going to want to stick out on these tires for much longer. And let's actually take a ride on board here with Ashley Lyle, if I can find the right camera here. There it is. We'll take a look on the helmet camera of the 51 driver and just get an idea of what it's like here in a late run, if you will, for a run here at Lakeland. And you can see Ashley just swinging that wheel left and right, trying to keep these cars in a straight line, and doing a very good job on the entry here into 1 and 2. Just very smooth. Smooth and steady wins the race, and that's the name of the game here. And you can see that Ashley doing a very good job of trying to keep those tires as pristine as she possibly can. You don't want to be sliding around trying to shave a 1/10 of a second off. As much as that 1/10 might help you, your tires are going to help you a lot more in the long run, especially in a 200 lap race, as we are approaching just over the quarter of the way mark here at the moment, just past lap 61. But yeah, you can see Ashley still fighting this car, and I gotta imagine that it's going to be in the next few laps before we see drivers coming down into pit road. And I think Steve Ulrich, the number 52 machine, is one of the first drivers among the field who has stayed out on track this entire time since all of the yellows to make his way through pit road here. I think that is correct. I think he is the first driver to officially start the cycles here. So Gareth, I think it's going to be very soon here when we start to see more drivers making their way down into the pits.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one. And, you know, you lose a solid 2 laps when you come down pit road. So there is a lot of time to be made up by just sticking out and hoping for another caution, or deciding that this is the time to go under green. Then, you know, you never know how it's going to happen, especially with short track racing. And this is going to be very interesting. But you know what also is interesting? The fact that Jaden Hopp has been caught now by Ashley Lyle and Tony Hilbrand's just behind. So this is a battle for second place heating up. We saw the lines that Ashley Lyle was taking, and she's finding it very difficult to keep onto that car out of turn 4, but doing a nice smooth job through turns 1 and 2, and there goes the move underneath Jaden Hopp. So Hopp gets moved out of the way, and I don't actually mean she moved him out of the way because he was already high, but he has been passed now, I guess is the easy way to say it, as Hilbrands also takes that spot away. Hopp might fire back. Hilbrands had a little bit of a bubble on the exit, but no, as Hopp also falls back in line. So it's definitely becoming more of a tire wear strategy race than I expected coming into tonight.
Yeah, it's like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, it is going to be a battle of attrition here, as these drivers are all going to be fighting these tires, going to be seeing just how good their long run stints truly are. And again, this flat, short track is very, very easy to get wrong, to make mistakes in. I can tell you from experience, it's to do 200 laps here for a full race would make me tired by the end of it. I don't know how some of these guys can do it, but it's amazing to see how consistent some of these drivers are over the course of a roughly 2-hour race, or 200 lap race, if you will. It's incredible. But that comes with experience, practice, and lots of seat time. So, you know, not something that everyone can do, but certainly if you have the time, you can definitely get yourself to that point. But we've got some great action developing here for the 9th place spot, with Nicholas Coruscant sitting in that spot at the moment. Jeffrey Fisher, Michael Keithley, both duking it out side by side. Just behind him, and excuse me when I say it was Michael Keithley, it's actually James Miller, one of the drivers trying to get himself unlapped here. And I think he's actually very close to doing so, as he's worked his way through the field and already moved himself up into 18th at the moment. So good work here from James Miller, and keeping himself in the mix of things here at the moment. But a big, huge shout out to Nathan Gutierrez. I know we haven't really covered much of him here since we've gone back to green flag here, and since he's taken the lead, but he has built himself up an astonishing 2.25 second gap between himself and the rest of the field. So Nathan is just doing incredible here at Lakeland, and interviewing with him last week at Sebring, he wasn't too confident that he was going to do well here today. Was just gonna, as he said, he was just gonna do the best that he could and see where it landed him. And I think right now he is looking very promising at the moment. And as a newcomer to the series, definitely going to have a lot of eyes looking towards that 07 when it comes to race day, because I think the drivers are going to start to expect to see a lot of good performances from a Nathan as the season progresses on, and I think we'll start to see potentially even a championship contender as this season continues on. But Gareth, it is lap 73 of 200. The racing has been absolutely astounding, and we're still waiting drivers to make their way down into the pits. I mean, if you were in this situation right now, what would be kind of your game plan? Let's talk a little race strategy here. Let's see. Well, let's try and get into the mind of some of these drivers. We have, 125 laps left to go. What's the best move here, do you think, in this sort of situation?
Honestly, I've been thinking about it. It's a really tough call, Mason, because you either come in now, and if a caution comes out, then you've just basically wasted. You've gone down 2 laps, and you're going to very much struggle to get that back. But if you don't come down soon, I mean, it's really going to depend. See, if you're a Nathan Gutierrez, you can decide when to come down, but you're almost waiting to see if anyone just behind you, like Ashley Lyle, Tony Hilbrands, decide to come down instead. But they're probably waiting for an Nathan to come down so that they can all sort of come down around the same sort of time. So it's really a game of, I would say, cat and mouse, depending on who's going to make the first move. And once they do, I think you'll start seeing everyone. If someone in the top 3 comes down, I think it will only be a lap or 2 before you see the entire field come down with them, as these tires are definitely getting a bit loose. And yeah, I was just about to say, underneath Sean Williams there. Michael Keithley, I think, got a little bit loose on corner exit as he went very far down and almost got into the side of Sean Williams once again. So that 89 machine is getting a few love taps from the 53 right now, but that is okay. There's a few bobbles. We're seeing a few internet connections from some of the internet connection problems from some of the drivers, but thankfully no one has been ejected due to that. So that's very nice to see. As you know, you were talking earlier as well about James Miller. You know, if anyone was going to lap themselves, James Miller would, because he currently holds the track record at a 21.547 for an entire lap. Now, the fastest we've had so far has been a 21.76, so 2/10 off the fastest ever time. That's been Tony Hilbrand's to do it so far today. So that is something to also keep in mind, as James Miller has worked his way, I believe, back onto the lead lap. And Michael Keithley continues to fight it out with Sean Williams here.
Yeah, getting a ride on board here with Michael Keithley in the number 53 machine as these two continue to duke it out side by side here. Thomas Sewell in the 77 Peterbilt Remington machine makes his way around up into 13th place here at the moment as folks, the action continues to brew here at Lakeland, and as we get closer and closer at almost any minute now, we're going to start to see drivers making their way down into the pits here, and I guess I will admit I was very wrong when I said it would be within about 10 laps before we start to see drivers make their way into the pits, as it's been well over 10 laps here and still have yet to see any of the drivers on the lead lap come down here into the pits at the moment. So I'm shocked to see that. Very good thing to see, just not exactly expecting it here, as Ashley Lyle still in second place at the moment, having Tony Hilbrand starting to close in just by a little bit here, and that might be due to the fact that, again, everyone's starting to feel the wear of those tires, that at least for the drivers that haven't come down into the pits, or at least anyone that hasn't got a fresh set of tires since the start of the race here. But for these guys, everyone is doing phenomenal, considering that they've gone 84 laps now on the same set of tires and continue to race on here. But battle continues to happen here between Sean Williams and Michael Keithley as they work their way through 3 and 4 and out onto the front straightaway and across the checkered line. Keithley currently going to hold on to that 13th place spot, but Sean Williams giving it everything that he's got here in that number 89 machine. As does that say Taylor Swift on his hood?
Surely not. Does it?
I
mean, I saw Shrek on Keithley's car. I just
well,
want to
yeah.
gloss over that one real quick. But,
yeah.
I don't know, does it say Taylor Swift?
I want to say it does. I can't get a good camera. Maybe the blimp camera will... No, that definitely will not help us here.
That's a bit too far away, yeah.
Well, maybe our handy-dandy drone camera will save us here. Yes, I think that does say Taylor Swift. I'm pretty sure I've noticed this before, but the fact that it's still there just makes me chuckle on the inside.
Sean just wants to chuck on a bit of Tay-Tay while he's driving, maybe. I don't know.
Marcus Regal confirming, yes, it does say Taylor Swift. And,
oh, Jack's with a very strong opinion. Taylor Swift can't sing. That's gonna make some people very upset, but
particularly Sean Williams.
Yeah. I will say, getting towards the midpoint of this race, thank you very much to Lisa MW, Dawn Hilbrands, Marcus Regal, Yogi Crawford, Jax, 1492, for showing up in chat and showing your support as well to watching this broadcast. To either your favorite drivers or your favorite commentators. I know everyone loves Mason, so...
Well, everyone loves you too, Garrett. Don't you worry.
I don't know about that. But, yeah, so thanks to everyone coming in. Dylan Sprock as well showing up just because I've shouted out and didn't want to be left out. Fair enough. as we go through. But we're continuing to watch the action, and this continues to be very spicy up here as Miller has got himself in the middle of this big pack here between Colby, Corsell, and I believe that's going to... No, that's Howie Briss, yeah. I don't know why I keep on missing Howie Briss. I think I'm just not used to that grey paint scheme yet.
Yeah,
As I'm not quite sure what he's got on it, but yeah, I think I'm just trying to get used to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a little, still taking a little time to get used to the new paint scheme here of the 97 machine, but still the same driver, still the same great racer and champion that we saw from the 2022 VRL Cup Series last year, coming back here once again. And consistency, again, the name of the game here for Howie Briss. And while we saw it last season, not a whole lot of podium finishes, you know, top threes, what have you, but staying in the top 10 was the name of the game here for Howie Briss, and he's going to continue on that path here again in 2023 and try and click off as many wins as he can and podiums and just do the best that he can here for this season. And so far, I'd say he's had a relatively good start to the 2023 season, and Nicholas Corsell also looking to have a good start here as the 45 machine up 10 spots from where he started in 17th here today. So far, Nicholas doing a very good job. And Benjamin Lacey, got to give a shout out here to the number 7 driver as he's currently up 14 spots and currently the highest mover and shaker in the field. So great work. Benjamin Lacey currently holding on to 4th place here as we get ourselves geared up. I keep saying this as if it's going to happen within the next few laps, and then it doesn't. But we're going to see pit stops here before too long, folks. I promise. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we were wrong, Gareth. Maybe tires do last a lot longer than we were both expecting, and these guys are going to stay out the full 130, 140 laps before they actually come down into the pits. I mean, I'd be astonished to see that. I would love to see a real-life tire that was used for 130 laps at Lakeland in real life. I would love to see that. I really am curious to know what that tire would look like after that much abuse. But hey, you know what? That's the beauty of the world, the virtual racing world. We can test these theories and have all sorts of fun shenanigans that come from it. But maybe I'm also wrong. Maybe that's just a normal stint here at Lakeland, and I'm just not informed enough when it comes to short track racing, I suppose. Big action, though.
Keith Lee very nearly got into the side of Matthew Fitz. I think they did touch very slightly, but yeah, I don't know how these drivers are still doing it. I know I would have been in pits about 20 times by now, so these drivers definitely showing just how skillful they really are, as Keithley and Williams just cannot get away from each other. These two continue to fight it out for the 14th spot, and they are, I believe they are your closest battle on track at the moment, which is not that hard considering they're directly behind one another, so that should probably come as no surprise. But yeah, and you know, pit speed, if we do have pits under green, you know, pit speed is only 35 miles an hour, and they're traveling almost 100 mile an hour faster than that down these straightaways, so that will be a big shock as well. I mean, we haven't seen any pit road speeding penalties as of yet, I don't believe. It's a fairly long pit road entry, but you know, you never know what could happen. And I think a lot of these drivers are also praying for that caution. I still think that a lot of these drivers are hoping that a caution will come out, and Keith Lee has a little bit of a moment there, able to keep it underneath him though and not lose a position somehow, some way, and so he has kept the car underneath him. But you know, we haven't mentioned it yet so far. I have to mention it because it almost feels like it has to be done at this point. Sour Patch Kids. Now, Mason, if I were to get Sour Patch Kids from the US and import them like a car, if I get them down here, would they be absolutely horrible, do you reckon, by the time they were shipped over here, or would they still be okay?
I think they'd be fine. They usually, I mean, I don't know how they'll react once they, you know, go in an airplane and go into, I don't know. I know weird things happen to food once they reach a certain point in altitude, but that's just weird science stuff. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
Because I'm starting to get to the point where I'm determined to see if I can just find some, like, I mean, I was planning on traveling to America, but I mean, that's still not for a little while, considering I just went on vacation and now my wallet's a little bit sad. So I
Fair
might
enough.
have to just buy some from overseas somewhere and see if I can just get some delivered and see what all the hype is about. Of
I'm-
course, Elle knows what I'm talking about.
I almost can guarantee you that there's a website that you can go to and probably order them and have them shipped to you. I almost can guarantee it.
Well, that is good, because that's what I'd like to see is... And Nathan Gutierrez has just lapped this battle that we were just watching with Keith Lee and Sean Williams. Sorry to make you pan back the camera there, Mason, in a second. But yeah, right as I call it. But yeah, Nathan is putting on a clinic, as they like to say. And he is 2 seconds ahead of second place Ashley Lyle, who has made her way around Tony Hilbrand's, or has made her way further ahead of, I should say, Tony Hilbrand's by a full second or so. So these drivers starting to get spread out, starting to find the rhythms that have gotten them to this point in the competition. But it should be interesting to see with those ever elusive green flag pit stops that we keep on expecting to see and keep on being disappointed are not coming.
Yeah, you know, at this point, I'm just gonna be excited when they do happen. But I think, Gareth, you made a really good point earlier, saying how drivers might be kind of almost hoping for that yellow to come out here, kind of give drivers a little bit of a breather here. You don't really have a whole lot of time to, do a whole lot of anything on these short tracks. You don't spend a whole lot of time in the straights, maybe a few seconds at most. And that doesn't really give you a whole lot of time to, let's say, theoretically stretch your legs, if you will. I know some drivers can probably attest. For you tall drivers out there like myself, a good old leg stretch doesn't hurt every now and then.
Whoa!
Oh,
in the
boy.
background, Matthew Fitz goes for a wild ride, and there is the caution that everyone was praying for. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mason, but I just noticed in the background. And there goes Matthew Fitz, spun around. He's been fighting with that machine the past, I want to say, about 20 odd laps. And, actually, Lyle just got to the back of him, but not the cause of it, I believe. Fitz touched the wall. And as Lyle was trying to get out, yes, it just loses the rear end, I think. Lyle just behind. No, just loses it all on his own. Tries to catch it back up. Lyle was right there, nothing doing. And not able to get out of the way, and just a quick spin. And the caution that we were kind of hoping not to see from a broadcast perspective, because green flag stops would have been quite the interesting strategy play. But I'm sure these drivers, like you said, apart from Nathan Gutierrez, wanted to see that come out because he had a big lead, and this is going to disappoint him, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers might. I don't think for Matthew Fitz he's going to be too enthralled with this one, but for the rest of the field and for maybe even Tony Hilbrand's here, it's going to be a huge sigh of relief, I think, for these drivers being able to have a chance to get things going here once again, have a bit of a restart. Just a moment to breathe, just a second to stretch your feet for a second and give yourself a little bit of time to think for a moment, because I know after a while behind the wheel you can start to feel yourself get a little, maybe not so stir crazy, but you start to, Gareth, help me out here.
Oh boy.
we both don't know what to say.
What I can say is that Ashley Lyle actually won the race off of pit road, followed by Tony Hilbrand. So Nathan Gutierrez not having the pit crew that he wants to have, it's shades of Kevin Harvick from back in the day, leading everything, and then the pit crew just lets you down. So unfortunately, Nathan Gutierrez is starting back in third position at the moment. So Lyle going to be very happy to see the clean air in front of her as we get this sorted out behind. But Dawn Hillbrand's coming in with the save because she's telling me that if they get my address, then they'll send me some Sour Patch. So Dawn Hillbrand's coming in with the save. I'm going to have to probably get that one queued in. I'm probably not going to write it in chat, so I just get some weird messages from people. But
some weird mail, weird fan mail,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah, oh, I don't know about fan mail, man. Come on, Mason.
Well, you
Make a grown man blush.
you've got at least one fan out there, Gareth. I promise.
Oh, it's probably you.
It is me.
Oh, thanks, Mason.
You're welcome,
Love you too, buddy.
Well, folks,
But-
it's been 113 laps of great racing here at Lakeland USA International Speedway for the Gator 200 for the 2023 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Someone taking a little bit of a detour through the grass there.
I was about to say that as well.
That was
Not sure.
quite interesting route to take there, but hey, you know what? You do what you gotta do. We're about to go back to green flag racing here as Ashley Lyle, Tony Hillbrand's gonna line up on the front row. The lights are off on the iRacing Mustang pace car here as we prepare to go through 3 and 4. Pace car is gonna make its way back down into the pits, and we are going to see the green flag drop here once again for the 4th time here at Lakeland. And let's see what these drivers have for what will be roughly the final 75 laps here at USA International. Nathan Gutierrez, a very, very good jump here. Oh no, Tony Hillbrand's.
Well, the big one. This is a big one.
The big one is out here, folks, right at turn 2, right in the center of it, and everyone catching a glimpse of it here as, wow, Gareth, what a...
Cautions, breed, cautions.
Wow. Wow. That
So
was...
Tony Hillbrand, that was I believe that was Corsell underneath Hillbrand's. Now Hillbrand's did have, I believe he spun the tires coming to the restart, so probably trying to get as much as possible. Yeah, just not quite leaving enough space to Corsell on the inside, and just an absolute bottleneck. Amazing that no worse came out of that. Great job from these drivers to really lock everything down and making sure that no one else gets really majorly involved. But it's just a mess. It just, that's, you know, if you're ever gonna have a spin, you don't want to have it in front of the entire field. So that's and that's unfortunately what just happened.
Yeah, and in the worst possible way, too. I mean, it was quite literally the entire field that was collected in that, and that's the last thing that you want to see as a spectator, as a commentator, as a driver. You definitely don't want to see those types of things happen. It definitely makes for a very interesting day on the racetrack, and oftentimes can not lead to the best, well, to the best result for some drivers that are maybe hoping for a good finish here in a fight for the championship, as it's still early in the season, and some drivers, you know, if you have a good enough start to your season, you can build a buffer, and by the time midway through the season comes, or even a little bit more before the end, you've built up enough of a buffer to use your bye weeks and not really suffer anything in that nature. But I think, Gareth, these past few weeks, Sebring showing some great action as Aaron Smith took home the win. Nathan Gutierrez taking the pole, and Jaden Hopp coming away with 3rd place. And the week before that, it was Nicholas Corsell taking home the win for the Beach Blast 250 at Daytona. Steve Ulrich in 2nd, and James Miller in 3rd place. So really great to see kind of the different, well, bit of diversity, I guess you could say, with our podiums lately. Seeing different drivers up on the podium, taking the wins here, and I think we're going to gear up to see a really exciting season here for the 2023 year. And yeah, it's just great to see all of these talented drivers coming in here, both new and returning, to compete for another championship here again. So, Gareth, I mean, from what we saw last year and from the limited races that you were with me last year, I mean, it's it's gonna be a good season, and I think, you know, I can speak for both of us when I say that I don't know what to expect, but I know it's gonna be good, and I'm just ready for it to happen. Even though it's happening right now, I'm ready for more already.
Yeah.
I left you kind of on a cliffhanger there. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure where to go with that one. Yeah, that's but no, this season, if last season is anything to go by, even though I was only around for like probably the last quarter of the races, if anything is to go by from what I saw from last season, this season is just going to be just as packed with action as we get ready to go. Ashley Lyle underneath Nathan Gutierrez as they go to green. Ashley Lyle getting a great start. She really knows how to start off the line. And Nathan Gutierrez following suit, though, not letting her go too far ahead. Jaden Hopp with a nice inside move, 3 wide already. More on the outside. Miller gets pressed into the wall. They're still 3 wide as they continue. Jurek made it through, but the Sour Patch Kids machine is going through as well. On the middle is Keithley, and this is just absolute chaos. I can't believe they've still made it through. Somehow they have not managed to hit the wall. I do not know how, and there's the problem. Miller manages to keep it underneath him. Not sure how he's managed to do that as they continue to go 3 wide. It is absolute carnage, and I have no idea how they've managed to keep it going, and they're still 3 wide. What is happening? Mason, help!
It is great action here. Tony Hillebrands that we're riding on board with on the roof camera, just getting a little bit of a different perspective of the action on track right now as drivers make their way down the back straightaway. And yeah, Gareth, I mean, still drivers fighting side by side with one another. It is incredible. Almost 3 wide we had for a moment there, now settling back out to a little bit more tame side by side action, but even then still can be a little sketchy at times as Charles Jurek and Nicholas Corcel going to duke it out here for the 8th place spot, and Ashley Lyle continuing on in the lead at the moment, but not without a little bit of pressure from a Nathan in the 07 machine right on her tail. And with only 75 laps left to go here, not a lot of time is left. And folks, these laps are going to go down quicker than you expect here. They're going to blink right before your very eyes here. And right now, Benjamin Lacey and Jason Tamer both going to have a little bit of side-by-side action here as well. But folks, back to green flag action here, and it is right back to where we were. Hot and spicy. That should have been the name of today's race, the Hot and Spicy 200.
I like the Gator 200. I mean, you know, alligators, I just want to point this out, are a lot smaller than saltwater crocodiles. But, you know, either way, it's, you know, it's showing a lot of razor-sharp teeth. That's probably not a bad call for the kind of racing that we've seen so far, as as we see there, the 22 machine of James Coulibaly is just being passed now by Benjamin Lacey on the inside, so that one sorts itself out as Coulibaly's going to have to fend off from Jason Tamer now, and manages so, but Ashley Lyle has still got so much pressure behind. Jeffrey Fisher's had a bit of a falling back, but I wonder if that's just being stuck on the high side as he continues to be looking like he's going in the right direction. Corcel now with Miller underneath, fighting for that 8th place spot, and there's Jeffrey Fisher as well in that 06 machine. Fisher falling behind James Miller now. Corcel's going to try and take advantage and gets cut off by the 06 just in front, so not able to do so, as these 5 cars really are very, very close together indeed. I believe there's about 5 of them. Yes, that's Jurek, Miller, Fisher, Corcel, and Briss is just behind Corcel as well. So they're all very, very close together. And Jurek is also involved as, although that's Sewell, sorry. Sewell's falling slightly behind as he's caught up on the high side now.
Very good, intense action happening here in the midfield, and only getting hotter here as contact made between the 06 of Jeffrey Fisher and Thomas Sewell. Keeping the action going here. The racing's still going. Green flag is still out. No one making any critical mistakes here, but still racing to the fullest extent possible. door-to-door banging here between the 45 and the 77. Sewell trying to do everything that he can to get down into the bottom lane. Finally finds an opening right ahead of Sean Williams, and frankly, if he didn't do that the moment that he did, Sean Williams would have been right there to take that spot away from him. And Sean Williams currently going to be, I think, 2 laps down here at the moment, so Williams trying to do everything that he can to stay in today's race, and frankly, more battles continuing around the track here for position, so everyone is doing all that they can here to take whatever position that they can possibly come away with here once the checkered flag flies. But for Charles Jurek and James Miller, they're going to fight for that 6th place spot, and Ashley Lyle continuing to fend off Nathan Gutierrez. And as Don Hilbrand said in the chat, Nathan has some talent here, and I gotta say, I completely agree. It is very, very impressive to see the 07 machine performing as well as he is here, both from the road courses to the ovals here today. It's extremely impressive to see just how well the 07 is performing here this early in the season. Let's see how it carries forward throughout the rest of the season. I'm sure that we will see many, many more great performances from drivers just like a Nathan. Ashley Lyle showing her dominance here today as well, or getting a chance to, as there's a bit of contact to the rear end from a Nathan. A little bit too close for comfort there from a Nathan, and that sent the rear end just a little bit too far to the right. And now Jaden Hopp down onto the inside, a battle for the lead here, a battle, 3-way battle for the lead, and a Nathan, oh boy, getting it right on the tail end of Ashley Lyle, trying to get into the mix of things here. Not going to quite be able to make it work this time around, as Jaden Hopp keeping that bottom lane closed away for anyone else to take that opportunity, as Jaden right in the midst of it, trying to work his way into the front of the field. As we come out of 4, back into turn number 1, they stay side by side here for the lead.
Yeah, amazing racing, and they just continue to be side by side as Hopp and Lyle battle it out. And Lyle is stuck on that high side, which is definitely not ideal, as Hopp has a bit more of a run on the inside, the preferred line. But, you know, kudos to Nathan Gutierrez. I have to point it out. He did have a little bit of coming together with Ashley Lyle's rear end, but Lyle managed to keep it going straight, and Nathan could have easily taken that spot away and run away in that first place, but decided to back out and let Ashley go back, so hold her position. So fantastic sportsmanship there from Nathan Gutierrez, as Jaden Hopp was just in the right place, the right time to take advantage of that situation. So he now finds himself in first position, and with Ashley Lyle and Nathan Gutierrez right behind, that is going to be a big struggle to keep them behind. And Lyle looks to the inside, not quite close enough, as she continues to try and make her way up to Jaden Hopp here. But Hopp, as I said, has almost been handed the lead due to that incident, so he is going to be very ecstatic and very much wanting to keep these two behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as he's got has his mom Lisa in the chat cheering him on here as well. Definitely making Mama proud at the moment as he continues his lead here. And yeah, Gareth, you brought up a great point in the Nathan after that bit of contact with Ashley, not opting to just take the lead and just run with it. He, like you said, great sportsmanship, backing off the throttle there just a little bit, letting Ashley kind of regather herself and keep her position. That's great sportsmanship. You don't often see it in racing. A lot of times guys will just wreck each other and continue on the race as if nothing happened. But it's great to see that there are drivers out there, both in the virtual and real life space, that, you know, have a little bit of compassion for other drivers and realize that sometimes you have to take ownership for your mistakes. And I think Nathan did just that by allowing Ashley to continue on with her position and really just keep the fight going. I mean, there's no reason to wipe someone out of a race, or even just give them a little bit of a tap to mess them up a few tenths of a second. At the end of the day, we're all here just to have fun and to put on great races, and I think that's exactly the mindset that all of these drivers are in here today, and it's fantastic to see. But Ashley Lyle trying to do all that she can to keep that 07 machine away from her at the moment, and it seems like she's had that 07 glued to the rear end of that 51 machine for quite some time now. So she's still trying to do everything that she can to shake Nathan and continue on her trek back into the lead here. But back towards the midfield here, 12th place, Tony Hillbrand's right smack dab in the middle between Jeffrey Fisher and looks to be the number 7 of Benjamin Lacey. Just behind him, currently a lap down at the moment, trying to keep himself up in the mix of things, as well as Sean Williams. So a few different lap traffic drivers just behind Tony Hillbrand's and company. But at the moment, 147 laps that we have completed here at Lakeland, just over 50 left to go here. Gareth, it has been an excellent day of racing, and with all of our pit stops out of the way here, maybe we'll see one more before the race is over. I almost want to say that's not likely to happen here, but who knows? We might actually see some drivers take that chance and try and come into the pits and take a fresh set of tires. That extra half a second that you get out of a fresh set might just help you, but only if you're desperate, I would probably imagine. But we'll just have to wait and see if that's going to be the case for any of these drivers, as we're watching now the battle for 6th place. Patrick Colby, Charles Jurek duking it out nearly door-to-door as they come through turns 1 and 2 and onto the back straightaway. Jurek going to come out on top of this one, ahead of the number 9 in that Daisy number 76 machine.
Yeah, I feel like Jurek in the now that he switched to Daisy is running a lot faster, just like the specs of my computer when I'm running Daisy versus Fallout 76. But you know, in regards to what you were saying earlier about the oh god, I've forgotten what you were saying now, but you were saying something to do with the anyway, I'm just gonna yeah, it was about the pit stops, and you know, with the whole green flag being out for, I believe, last pit stop, yeah, for a lot of these drivers was on that caution lap of 110. So when they came in, and the tires lasted until then. So tire wear, although it may be a factor, is not going to be a big enough factor, I believe, to make anyone come down early. As we can see James Miller here working on Scott Shire for the 4th position. James Miller has been working his way slowly but surely through the entire field after going 1 lap down. He does hold the lap record here, and he has been showing exactly why that is the case. As, Nathan Gutierrez has a bit of a bobble, bit of a slide, and not sure what caused that. Maybe got into the outside wall a little bit, but Miller has closed the gap right up to him.
Oh no!
And may take over the 3rd spot, and there's a little bit of contact. And I think Nathan thought there was room. Miller stuck his nose in. I'm not going to say either one was at fault, just tight racing. And it's so difficult to know where the corners are on these big machines when you're sitting smack bang in the middle. And it just looks like the two of them just got together. Very unfortunate circumstance. You can see Miller is on the high side, but I believe Nathan just got a little bit better of a run on the exit, and he thought he'd be free, but Miller was still just there. As, yeah, they're so close. There's just a little bit. So, okay, so yeah, I think that's just a case of not quite being sure of where these cars actually start and where they finish. You can't see the front of the machine from where you're sitting. And it's especially difficult with these machines because these particular models, the front nose actually dips down underneath the rear end of the car in front. So you're not exactly sure where the point of contact is actually going to be. And it's a bit of a difficult situation as Jaden Hopp just barely beats Ashley Lyle off of pit road after these caution lap pit stops. But, you know, we were just about to talk about it, and I was just about to say the pit stops will only happen and tires will only come on the cars when there is a caution to bring that out, and a caution we did have.
Absolutely. And our fans watching at home collectively sighing at the same time with one another, and understandably so. It was definitely not an ideal situation for this entire field. It's going to allow these drivers to stack up, get another opportunity to restart here, but really we've seen a lot of drivers who have had promising starts to this race or had opportunities to be in the front of the field, top 5, where have you, but ultimately have had not so great luck going into what we could consider the final quarter of this race here. Really starting to see some drivers just starting to get the short stick as the race progresses on here. But right now, I mean, it's going to allow the field to kind of shuffle up a little bit. Drivers are going to have different competitors to race against this time around a little bit. But again, it's going to hurt the drivers that are really hoping for a top 3, a top 5, whatever the position might be that they need for points or what the case might be. Again, it's still very early in the season. Race number 3 of 36 races that we will have throughout this season here. So not exactly the worst case scenario if you don't exactly finish where you want to today, but it will definitely help going into the future, having just a little bit of help going in early into the season. But Gareth, we're getting drivers lined back up here. It looks like we're letting the lap drivers on by here as drivers getting lined up side by side throughout the rest of the field here.
Yeah, it's looking like we're going back to green pretty soon as the pace cars lights are off. Jaden Hopp and Ashley Lyle starting in your front row. Charles Jurek and James Miller in your second row. And Howie Briss and Nicholas Corsell are going to be in your third row. Corsell behind Briss there as they line up on the high side. And they get ready to go. Green is out. Jaden Hopp gets a nice jump start. That inside line really working wonders for anyone who starts there. Ashley Lyle trying to get in, and James Miller almost not allowing her to do so, but just leaving enough of a gap to allow that to happen. Charles Jurek and Howie Briss side by side for 4th position as well, as Briss goes underneath Jurek now, and they touch a little bit, but nothing major happening, thankfully, as Corsell also tries to take advantage. And we have a caution coming out once again, but I'm not sure what for.
Dawn Hillbrand's a little bit of a jinx when she said let's have a clean restart, as Michael Keithley involved in this one. And it looks to be a little bit of contact, I think, between Scott Shire. Oh, okay, it's a little bit more convoluted than that, but it looks to be actually, a perfect scenario of iRacing netcode being a problem here. So this is a perfect example, folks, of what it's like when you have these sort of issues. So looking from the blimp camera, I know this isn't the best camera angle, but it's the best that I have right now. But this is what happens when drivers don't have the best restart, well, not restart, but the best connection to the race session. Sometimes they can appear underneath a car, and bad things happen from there. So Michael Keithley, unfortunately, at no fault of his own, going to be the cause of the 7th caution here tonight. And really, I think, while sim racing doesn't have all the same challenges that real life racing might have, you definitely still have to deal with situations just like this. And what we saw here with Michael Keithley. Things that are out of your control, things that you cannot simply do anything about. You could have the best connection in the world, and these things can still happen. So it's not Michael Keithley's fault. It's unfortunately just going to come down to pure unluck, if you will, here, Gareth. And I think you can probably attest to it yourself as well, being a sim racer, that those things, when they do happen, definitely can ruin your day.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I live half a world away from a lot of the guys that I drive around more often than not. And, sometimes you just get really close to each other, and you can just have a blink or a bobble for your internet connection, and all of a sudden you've just appeared inside someone else, or you'll make contact when the two cars actually have a decent amount of gap between the two of them, and it's just basically the simulator working out exactly where it thinks you are, but of course it's not entirely accurate all the time, especially when it's dealing with a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of different places, all the connections working together, and there's going to be some issues, and that's just an unfortunate example of that. But like you said, with real life and with the virtual racing, you know, we don't have certain challenges, but you have different challenges. And, obviously you won't have a connection issue or like, did I actually touch him? No, I didn't, but there was still a wreck that occurred. You won't have that in real life. You will have to touch someone to turn them. And, you know, vice versa, like you said, with the hospital stuff and all that kind of thing, it's not going to be as bad in the virtual world. So there's just different challenges that pose from different ways of racing, but it's just amazing seeing what sim racing can really do for the average person who doesn't have the money, doesn't have the access, and they can come down and really enjoy some racing, some top-notch level racing, especially among these guys in the VRL Cup Series. So we get ready to go to green once again as I interrupt myself, because here we go. Jaden Hopp gets a nice launch. Ashley Lyle just behind as well. James Miller actually takes advantage. He goes underneath Ashley Lyle, but Lyle gets a better drive out of the corner. She's not going to be able to make that move, I don't think, back on Miller. So Miller's now in the second spot. And they touch a little bit. Lyle tries to get down behind. Miller gets a little bit of a touch. And surprisingly, didn't actually fall. And there it is. And there's a big wreck as Briss comes through. Hilbrands comes through. Everyone comes through. And a tiny bit of a touch there as well on Sean Williams.
Multiple drivers. Tony Hilbrand's trying to back it up here. Yeah, this is not ideal for this restart. This is definitely going to have I think a lot of these drivers are definitely going to be a little furious after this one. Oh boy. Yeah, we're going to have to back this one up here. And I can't speak for every driver, but I'm sure there are definitely going to be some words being said amongst the drivers after this one. Let's take a little bit of a closer look here and see just how this one unfolded here. Ashley Lyle being the main focus here. It looks to be, I think, as well, James Miller here in the 09 Tim Hortons machine, just getting a little bit too close to one another, and there goes Howie Briss into these two drivers. Tony Hilbrand's getting collected, Patrick Colby, Nicholas Corcel, and some other drivers making their way through, but man,
that was four wide for a second. As they tried to avoid, they actually went 4 wide to the inside, so that's actually amazing. I didn't think I'd ever see that at this track, but there you go. And real tough break for all these drivers, but especially I have to say for Tony Hilbrands. I've seen Hilbrands unfortunately have this same thing happen to him so many times last season as well, where he was having a great race, then some sort of issue, or he just falls off the pace a little bit, falls back a bit in the standings around to about the 10th place, and then just seems to find himself getting involved in several accidents that were by no means his fault. So very unfortunate to see that to happen to Hilbrands once again. But
Marcus.
Yeah, we're getting a report from Marcus telling us that there are some tempers flaring. So yeah, but all these drivers just need to know, we've only got about 30 laps left. I know we have unlimited green, white, checkered, so we may have more than that if the situation presents itself, but there's only 30 laps left. It's okay. I would say have a beer, but they're driving to cool off, so don't have a beer yet. But yeah, definitely just cool down underpacing behind the pace car, and hopefully we can get this one finished.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing as a driver that can be tough sometimes. You know, you can let your emotions get the best of you, and it truly does affect your driving. You know, some drivers, you know, they say, "Oh, I drive better when I'm angry, when I'm as mad as I can possibly be," and other drivers, they have to be calm listening to classical music in the background, you know, to be able to be competitive. It varies from driver to driver, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to control that. You have to stay focused and be able to keep yourself in a mental state that allows you to race at your fullest potential. I can say it myself. I've been in situations on the racetrack where one minute I feel I'm doing well, I feel like I'm doing great, and all of a sudden someone's rear-ending me because they want to chase just a little too close and end up getting into the rear end, and all of a sudden I'm making all sorts of mistakes all over the track, and it's just not good for anyone. But Dawn Hilbrand, she's cracking one open for both myself and Gareth and all of the drivers here, and gonna start the celebrations a little early before the checkered flag starts here. But hey, you know what? I think I would be doing the same exact thing if I was Dawn right now too. So I don't blame you.
I don't know if it's celebrations or just trying to drown the worry away, but
the pain.
Jaden Hopp is going to take the lead on this one with Howie Briss on the outside. That outside line still not working out so well as Corcel thought. And we've got another caution. This series, well, not the series, because the series is actually usually very, very clean. This racetrack is really bringing out some tempers flaring, that's for sure, as we had another caution breeding another caution. And wow, that looks like quite the senders on James Coulibaly. I'm not sure who that was. Oh, that was Miller. So Coulibaly just a little bit slower. Miller trying to get through and just absolutely shunts Coulibaly and turns him into Tony again.
Tony is just a magnet today.
Oh, and Tony cannot avoid. Oh, and the 52 gets launched up a little bit as well. That's the 52 of Steve Ulrich, as he got launched a little bit by Ashley Lyle from behind. So, you know, okay, so regardless of all of this, I do want to have a look at, if you don't mind, Mason, have a look at Michael Ashmore, because we haven't talked about him, and his paint scheme is bright pink, and he has something on the hood. I don't know what it is, but I've been trying to make out what it is, and I just cannot see it. Do you know what he's trying to advertise on the front hood, hood of his machine?
I think that's actually a picture of Howie Briss's grandma. I think he kept that on there as a memento to Howie and to his family. I think that's what that is. I'm not 100% certain, but maybe Marcus can confirm that for us here, our viewer slash in-race reporter, if you will. And but I think I'm pretty sure that's a photo of Howie Briss's grandma for the Beach Blast 250, where drivers all were showing their support for Howie Briss and his family after the passing of his grandmother. I believe it was early this year, I believe, is when she passed away. But
oh wow, I didn't mean to bring it to a sober note. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay, Gareth. It's all good. We're
I just thought his paint scheme looked very vivid, and I wanted to have a look at what it was, because we hadn't talked about him. So
I gotta say the colors on that machine are probably amongst some of my favorite. That blue and pink, just it really pops. It's a good paint scheme.
Really trying to rival the yellow banana, isn't he? With how standout he wants to be. But yeah, so Jaden Hopp, I'm not sure if I've lost Mason. Are you still there?
Indeed I am.
Okay. For some reason I thought that I lost you for a second, but it is good to know that I haven't. So we have Jaden Hopp and Howie Briss starting on the front row, Charles Jurek, Nicholas Corcel on the second row, and now newly we have Patrick Colby and Jeffrey Fisher for our third row, as the pace car's lights have gone off and they head into, I believe this is turn 2, so we're still going to have to go halfway around the track once again. But yeah, looking like it should be a good restart. Hopefully we can get it dialed in. This is the 9th caution of the night. And yeah, so I guess we'll see how this one unfolds.
24 laps left to go. It'll be 23 as we cross the line here. Pace car goes down back into pit road. Jaden Hobb getting ready to start the field here off once again, and away we go. The green flag drops here for what we hope to will be the last time here at Lakeland USA International Speedway. Trouble in the midfield, a little bobbing and weaving happening here. 3 wide as we exit turn 2. Keithley, a little bit of contact to the 77 of Sewell. We work our way through 3 and 4, more 3 wide action here in the midfield. It only gets more and more dicey as we come out of 4, almost 4 wide here with Keithley, Miller, Sewell, and Nathan Gutierrez, and the 62 of Jason Tamer all scrapping for positions here. Tony Hilbrands as well, you can see, trying to work his way up through the field. Ashley Lyle in the Morton Salt 51 machine also trying to get some of the action here as Jaden Hobb has built up an incredible gap of about a second between himself and the rest of the field. It is looking phenomenal here for Jaden Hobb, and the rest of the field continues their bouts for positions where they can, and it looks like Patrick Colby up in 3rd place, going to have a little bit of action here with Howie Briss side by side as they come out of 4 and onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, Colby's taking that position quite determinedly as he's going to find himself in 4th position. There are battles still going on. We have Sean Williams on the high side, Scott Shire underneath, as well as Jeffrey Fisher in the 06. Also a part of this battle, as Nathan Gutierrez and James Miller are just behind them, so they're trying to work their way back up after some issues earlier on, and they're still going side by side. They're on the inside now, those two, so they are fighting their way through the pack as quickly as possible. And you can really see that as Nathan goes for a little bit of a spin.
No!
Williams gets involved. The 62 is involved. Everyone else manages to avoid. So lucky, but Sean Williams and Nathan Gutierrez and Jason Tamer all getting a look at that one, as well as Logan Jones. I'm not sure how Logan got involved, but definitely saw him spun around as well.
Let's take a look at the replay here as they're coming out turn 2 here onto the back straightaway, and Nathan just gets a little bit too loose, tries to correct it, but ultimately Sean Williams a little too close, not able to slow down, not able to check up here, and Logan Jones also getting in some of the action here as he gets clipped from the rear and gets sent spinning here. But man, oh man, Gareth, the action is just boiling hot here at this point as drivers just all giving everything that they can. I don't think we would ever be able to show it here on the broadcast, and frankly I wish we had a way that we could. But if we could just listen to the drivers' Discord right now and just listen to all the banter that is probably going on right now amongst the drivers, it would just be, there would be a lot of beeps involved, I'm sure, at the end of the day.
Yeah, Look, we probably could jump in there, but I think it's probably a smart idea to let bygones be bygones at this point. It would be a bit of an interesting situation to have to deal with. Probably not one we want to do on air, but yeah, so we've got definitely some support. Dawn Hilbrand saying Tony managed to miss that one, so good on him. Lisa saying keep going, Jay. Jaden Hobbs still out in front. Breathe and hold them off, so you know, there should be a good, so yeah, there should be a really good battle towards the end here. We've got 10 cautions. We've had almost 200 laps, so about 184, I believe. So we've got 16 to go, coming to 15 to go. We're still under caution at the moment. The top 6 have not really changed. We've had Miller coming through the field very, very quickly. Ashley Lyle as well. So we're going to have to wait and see if they're a little bit too aggressive for the field in front of them and cause another one. But we're certainly not hoping that that's going to be the case. And we are getting ready to dial it back up once more, Mason. And I got to tell you, I am very happy I'm sitting up here in the booth and not down there in the driver's seat.
Oh, Gareth, I gotta, I am right there with you, bud. I would rather be up here sitting with you and calling the action here rather than being in the driver's seat right now. My hands would just be soaked at this moment with how nervous I would probably be at this very point in time, especially if I'm someone like Jaden Hopp in the 81 machine who's really getting a very, very good opportunity to win a race here very early in this season and get a good start to his season here. And Jaden Hopp getting very good support here, a lot of support from Lisa, his mother, in chat as well. So he's got people behind him, giving him all the support they can, rooting him on, and really getting a little bit of root from myself as well. I hope to see Jaden up here taking home the W here today, but anything can still happen in these last 14 laps as the drivers get ready to go back to green flag racing here. The pace car back down into pit road. Jaden Hopp gonna wait for the green flag to drop here, and away he goes here once again for hopefully the final time here at Lakeland with 13 laps left to go as the field dashes their way into K, and it's going to go right back to yellow flag here as there is trouble just behind the rest of the field. Michael Ashmore getting the most of this one here, it looks like. Let's see just what happened to cause all of this here. Oh, big checkup.
That almost looked like that started in front of or around Tony Hilbrand's. There was a big checkup, and then Logan Jones on the inside, not wanting to get involved at all, was trying to stay down low and checked up himself, and then that caused just an accordion effect. And yeah, that's just an unfortunate one. I won't say there was definitely no malice in that one at all. That just looked like a few checkups at the back that people weren't ready for, and just an unfortunate event. But you know, I've said it once before, and I'm going to say it again. Mason, cautions breeding cautions.
Unfortunately, Gareth, that's just the way it goes sometimes, and I think today is just the day for Velocity Racing League and the drivers here today, and it's been probably the highest number of cautions so far. It is actually the highest number of cautions this season. I'm not sure about 2022. I think the last time that we raced here, it was pretty close to this number. I think there was definitely a lot of restarts when it comes to the short track races. They just tend to be a lot more chaotic, and when you have 20 plus drivers all on the field together, it can make things rather interesting. But for the drivers that do hold their own and manage to walk away from it unscathed, those lucky enough to walk away from it unscathed, it usually tends to be a lot of great racing and a rewarding one to come away with the win for. So not exactly a shot in the dark for as far as luck is concerned with your super speedways, and it's not a bout of being able to turn right and left when it comes to your road courses, but your short tracks definitely have a lot of skill involved and can definitely it's where a lot of great racing drivers that you know of today, that's where they all start at. So it's great to see these drivers here fully accepting all three disciplines, if you will, of asphalt racing.
Well, I tell you, what a race to come back to. I'm very happy to be back as I get to call the action alongside you here, so you don't have to deal with this one all on your lonesome. But yeah, this has brought a whole heap of action, some good and some bad, but definitely a good show to witness regardless. But we should be getting ready for one crazy sprint, as we've only got 8 laps to go, and it is really coming down to the wire. Now, if we see Jaden Hopp get the jumps that he has been managing to get in the last several restarts, he may be able to take home the win on this one. I'm sure Corcel and Jurek just behind as well are going to be trying to say no to that. But Jaden Hopp, Nicholas Corcel on your front row, Charles Jurek, Patrick Colby on the second row, and Howie Briston, Scott Shire on your third row as the pace car has made his way in. And again, a nice jump from Jaden Hopp. Not as nice as his previous ones, but still nice enough. Corcel goes to the inside, takes that nice line away. We've got a battle for third as Colby and Jurek go side by side, and we have Sean. No, that is not Sean Williams. That is Thomas Sewell upside down, and we just cannot get this. We can't finish this race. It just never ends. As what has happened further in the back, he was on the inside line, so interesting to see how he made it to the outside. And oh, that just looks like a bit of a tag. Up and over.
And adding insult to injury. No.
Hey, thanks to the 14 degrees of banking here at USA International, working with Sewell to right his machine on all four wheels, so thankfully not having to take a tow and keeping him relatively unscathed, really, to keep in this one. So great job to the track for the banking that they have provided for us.
Well, Gareth, and for these drivers here as well, this is really going to set them up for really the first green-white checkered attempt of this race. If my math serves me correct, if my commentator math helps me at all here.
Math.
Yes, it's very bad.
That's lobbing in all the commentators. I don't know about that.
That's
pretty sure my math is actually worse than yours, but I'm just gonna.
So my point stands.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Anyway, I think once we come back to green here, Gareth, I think it's going to be our first GWC as here at Velocity Racing League, yellow. Caution laps are counted. So in some series, caution laps aren't counted as to allow drivers to still have those laps to continue competing. But in a race where we have 200 laps or more, or 200 miles in this case, not exactly something that you want to see a 2-hour race prolonged into a 3 or maybe even longer race in some situations. Well, yes, I've seen that happen, and I have been a part of shows where that has happened. So it definitely makes for a very interesting race, but it definitely can be a little taxing on the drivers and on viewers who may be wanting to watch the race in a timely manner. But luckily for those of us and for those of you watching, we are not like MSNBC where we have to serve an ad every 10 or 15 minutes for a simple race, especially right in the middle of battles. It's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. But here at Team Goon Squad, we don't do any of that, and we can do the broadcast, we can do the show for as long as we have to. We'll be here all night if we need to. So I hope you guys don't plan on going anywhere. Stick around, because we've still got to see the checker flag fly here, Gareth, and it's... Man, after these past couple
who else offers no ad breaks? Sorry to interrupt you, Mason. Who else offers no ad breaks? Like when places say no ad breaks, I mean, they still have ad breaks during the cautions, but we don't. We watch the cars go around and we enjoy it.
Yes, we do. That we do. And that's the one thing that I truly enjoy about doing this type of work is while we don't see the maybe thousands or hundreds of thousands of viewers that you'll see on your typical NASCAR or Formula One race day, the folks that we do get to see coming in every single week, it starts to feel like a small family, and that's ultimately what we're all here for. At least that's what I'm here for, Gareth. I'm sure I can speak for you as well. We enjoy the familyness, we enjoy the community, and as much as we all love the racing, as we're back to green flag action here, and it's a little bit of trouble here in the midfield for Jeffrey Fisher as he gets into the wall a little bit just up ahead. things continuing to get dicey as Scott Shire gets a little too close for comfort. Thomas Sewell goes for a little bit of a ride there. Caution comes back out here, and we are entering into our first GWC of the night here.
So, obviously, this is well timed for the fact that there was an air show just last weekend actually around me, so I went to that. But you're going to see where I'm going with this in a second. But Sewell not only wanting to do a barrel roll to show off to the cameras, but also wanting to do a nice pirouette 360. So that's kind of where I was going with that joke. Didn't work out as well as I wanted it to, but we're going to roll with it anyway. As yep, there's just you can't do 4 wide. You just can't. It's not going to work. And yeah, that just looked like Scott Shire was on the high side and got tagged a little bit by the, I believe that was Benjamin. No, that wasn't Benjamin Lacey. That was Jason Tamer. And yep, no one really wanted to give up. And there goes. That brought out the caution. So that was a very, very unlucky, very quick caution, because we were only probably less than a few inches really away from having the white flag. So that is very, very unfortunate timing.
Very unfortunate timing, and for our leader, Jaden Hopp, it means another restart that he has to continue to keep this lead and prevent anyone else from taking advantage of these restarts here. Jaden Hopp has done phenomenal on these starts. He's been very, very good, getting a good jump, getting some distance built up between himself and second place or whoever might be in that spot at the moment. But still, doing multiple restarts back to back, sometimes things don't always go your way. But luckily for Jaden Hopp, things have been going relatively smooth. And let's hope that it continues to stay that way, as luckily for drivers, everyone should have plenty of tire left to work with here to finish out this race. So it's not like anyone's going to be fighting extremely scrubbed tires here at this moment. Everyone's going to have relatively worn-in tires, but still very well usable at this point in the race. So I don't think we're going to see anyone getting too bent out of shape here. I mean, other than what we've seen already, just drivers doing driver things, as I've alluded to already. But Gareth, this restart is, well, can't say it's going to be make it or break it, because we're not sure if we're going to have to see another restart here once we go back to green here, because frankly it just seems like everyone is on a mission here, and it's just making for some very interesting content here in the last few minutes of the race.
Well, I tell you, Mason, I'm gonna treat it. Yep, exactly. So fingers crossed, just like Dawn and Lisa said in the chat, I'm going to treat this one as if it's going to be our final restart. So let's hoping that it's going to be just that. But as Lisa also alluded to, thank goodness for coffee. She alluded to that a couple of cautions ago. So hopefully you haven't had too much, though. We wouldn't want you up all night, but at the same time, we appreciate you being up early enough, and I thank Coffee that you're up late enough to also share all these restarts with us. I could have really used a coffee. I probably should have had one, but oh well. As we get ready to go back to green, Jaden Hopp and Patrick Colby are sending it out there. And Corsell gets a nice jump on the inside as well. So Colby's left on the outside line. He's going to make his way down onto the bottom. No, he's going to hang high. There's a little bit more 3-wide action happening slightly further back. Blimp View doing a great job. Fantastic call there, Mason, to bring that one up for us. As Keithley finds himself on the high side back in 7th position. He's going to be fighting Jeffrey Fisher on the 6th for 7th. Himself, as Tony Hilbrand sends it in deep and tries to take a spot away from Jason Tamer for the 8th place spot, or for the 9th place spot, excuse me. And we are under the final lap, so it's going to be the finish now as we got ready for it. Jaden Hopp is definitely going to take the win. Nicholas Corsell and Patrick Colby brings it home in 3rd position. So, and then they have a little bit more of a smoke show after the flag, but it's okay because the flag has come out. And we are finally wrapping this one up, and that is a beautiful
That was a
slide
beautiful slide. That was great.
to finish it off from Jaden Hop. That was about as good as you can get. Really ripping that e-brake.
I could hear the Tokyo Drift music playing in the background.
Oh man, deja vu. So as we, yeah. So that's actually that's not Tokyo Drift. That's Initial D. What's Tokyo Drift music?
I'll send it to you after the broadcast. You'll.
Is that like Wonder If You Know, Come and See in Tokyo kind of thing?
I don't think so.
I think that's the one.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, the 81 machine parked firmly on victory lane. So, fantastic work from Jaden Hop to keep the rest of the field underneath him and managing to stay in front really from all of those restarts. I don't know how many ago he turned up in front, but it would have been a little while ago, as he's led at least 5 restarts. Nicholas Corsell ending up in second, and Patrick Colby rounding out our top 3.
So we're getting ourselves ready for our post-race interviews, just waiting for drivers to get themselves into the into the waiting room and out of the cars and all of that other fun stuff here. But as we've already rounded off our top 3 here, I'll go ahead and round out the rest of our field. Charles Jurek taking home 4th, Ashley Lyle in 5th, Howie Brisson 6th, Jeffrey Fisher taking home 7th, Michael Keithley in 8th, Tony Hillbrand's in 9th, Benjamin Lacey in 10th, Nathan Gutierrez in 11th, Jason Tamer in 12th, Sean Williams in 13th, James Koulibaly in 14th, Matthew Fitz in 15th, Scott Shire in 16th, Logan Jones in 17th, Thomas Sewell in 18th. Moving ourselves down the grid here, or excuse me, not the grid. We're not that early into the race here.
Don't tell me we're starting again.
Steve Ulrich taking 19th, Michael Ashmore in 20th, Aaron Smith in 21st, and Howie D-Tray in 22nd, and last and certainly not least, James Miller taking home 23rd. And that is going to round out our field here, and we are going to go ahead and get ready for post-race interviews. First up into the booth, Patrick Colby, the number 9 machine, taking home a podium here today at USA International. Patrick, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your 3rd place finish here. What a race that we had here today. Quite a chaotic finish to the 200 laps that we saw here today. But Patrick, you had quite a good run here, I would say, in that number 9 machine, able to keep yourself in and around the midfield for, I would say, a good portion of the race, and then towards the later half, able to work your way up into the top 3, top 5, and really putting on some good battles here. I mean, what was kind of your game plan going into today's race, and do you think it was executed the way that you wanted it to?
Yeah, definitely. I never felt like I had a lot of speed throughout practice, so I think tire saving, tire management was going to be the big key for me. Managed to kind of roll the bottom, save tires, work our way up through, and then just fortunately through a couple of cautions we managed to miss enough. It got us to a position where, on a late restart, people don't really have too much of a time to get around you. So I think all in all, it worked out pretty well for me tonight.
Yeah, I think he had a phenomenal performance here at the first short track race of the season. And looking into next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway, how are we feeling now taking home a podium, carrying that momentum into next week? How are you feeling about Atlanta, and do you hope to kind of carry some similar success next week?
I would love to carry similar success. It's just such a different racetrack. Same concept, though. I think tire saving is going to really be the king in Atlanta. Hopefully get a little bit less caution so we can go green a little bit longer. So feeling good about it.
Yeah, I think the short tracks definitely tend to be a little bit more yellow filled at times, but I think overall you guys had a great race here, and for yourself as well, the number 9 machine doing phenomenal throughout today's race and able to take home that podium. It's going to be a great feeling. But Patrick, before we let you go, celebrate, crack open a well-deserved cold one with your teammates and fellow drivers. Is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Just you guys. You guys do an awesome job with the broadcast and showing up every single week, so it's always appreciated being here for a few seasons. And then a shout out to Tony for putting this on and putting up with all of us and our whining and complaining week after week, because I don't know this isn't anything I wouldn't rather be doing on Mondays than this. So
Right there with you, Patrick. I don't think me or Gareth would want to be anywhere else here on a Monday night. But Patrick, thank you for joining us up here in the booth. We look forward to seeing you next week and hopefully get to talk to you again.
definitely, thanks guys.
Absolutely. Have a great one. Alrighty, folks, that was Patrick Colby taking it out of the booth here for third place here tonight. Up next is Nicholas Corcel handing it over to Gareth McAllister, and Nicholas Corcel coming home with that second place spot. Let's go ahead and bring Nicholas down into the booth, Gareth.
Well, g'day, Nick. Welcome to the booth. How are you feeling after that race?
Surprisingly good. I don't expect that at short tracks.
Well, I tell you what, we saw you fairly far back, actually, about the mid-pack, sort of towards the middle of the mid-pack. That doesn't make any sense. But we saw you in the mid-pack of the race anyway, and then you managed to work your way very slowly but surely through the field. Was it just avoiding all the incidents that really got you up there, or were you trying to save what you had really in reserve till the very end there to really surprise everyone?
Yeah, I've never been that big of a hot lapper, so I've been just trying to take care of my tires, be patient, take the runs when I got them, don't force anything too bad. And people race you a lot cleaner when you do that, so it makes it a lot easier to pass your way through the field. So I was just saving my tires. At the end of that run, my tires were about 5 to 7% better than anybody else's in the field, so felt good about that.
Oh, well, that's a fantastic job. And I did mean to ask as well. I've got to ask someone, so I'm going to ask you. Did you find that the top lane, we saw a couple of people make a pass, but not really anyone. Was the bottom lane just that much better, or was it just something to do with the top lane? When it did work, it seemed to work really well, but was it just on fresh tires that seemed to work well at all, or what did you think?
No, the bottom lane was definitely dominant. Top lane, for some reason, when you got in the corner, the only way you could make a pass, like on older tires, somebody screwed up on the bottom. You had to really pinch them to the bottom, try to get them loose off the corner. It's the only way to get the run. But I mean, even on the short run, I tried to get to the bottom as fast as I could, because if you didn't get that run off too, you were screwed going into three. It just had, I don't know, it was so tight you couldn't turn going into the corner.
All right, well, thank you for your insight, Nick, and I will try and apply that to when I'm racing at USA International, because God knows I need the help. So I will say, you got Sour Patch Kids as a sponsor. My final thing. What do you think of Sour Patch Kids? Because I'm trying to get, finally, I think Dawn Hilbrand said that she's going to actually send me some after the race to finally try some out, because I've never had them before.
Well, as my car says, they're sweet, sour, then fine. You can't stop eating once you start. They are amazing.
All right, well, I don't need any more. I don't need any more incentive than that to go and get some. So, for the final thing, I want to really ask you, Nick, who would you like to shout out to for tonight's second place run? A very good run at that as well.
I mean, shout out to all the drivers in this league. We've all become pretty close. We all sit in Discord, joke a lot, but when we race really clean. We're super close. 90% of us. But, you're always going to have that one or two that really jack it up for the field. But, yeah, thanks to Tony for putting on the league. It's always so fun to run this. We're getting more and more cars. The racing's getting a lot better. And it's just fun to do. So appreciate everybody that watches. It's fun to go back and watch the broadcast and see you guys covered. It's really fun to watch. So I appreciate you guys, too, for being here for us.
All right, well said. Thank you very much, Corcel, and I am sure we will see you in the booth again soon with another similar performance. So good to see you, and I guess we'll catch up again in the next coming week. If not, I'm sure soon enough.
Yeah, I hope so. At Atlanta, it's a pretty good track for me, and I hope to see you guys in the booth.
All right, see you then.
Bye, guys.
Alrighty, folks, that was Nicholas Corcel taking it out of the booth here for second place here tonight. And up next, last and certainly is not least here, Jaden Hopp coming home with the first win of the 2023 season for the number 81 machine. Jaden, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your win. What a phenomenal race. Jaden, the first question I got to ask you, were you at all worried in those last few restarts for your lead position? I mean, it just seemed like anything was going to happen in those moments. And did you, at any point in that, in those last few laps, was there any doubt that you were going to come across the checkered line for the win tonight?
Not really. With how much of a jump I was getting on the bottom, I wasn't too worried, but at the end I was just hoping that they would stop wrecking and we'd get the race over with.
Yeah. Me and Gareth were both kind of talking about that a little bit towards the end there, but Jaden, you held your own. You did a phenomenal job in securing your first W for the start of the 2023 season. It's got to be a great feeling. What do you hope to accomplish next week at Atlanta? I know for some drivers it's a well-favored track, so what do you hope to accomplish there? Do you see yourself doing well, or is it a track that you're not too certain of at this point?
I think I'm going to do decent. I'm all right at Atlanta. I'm mostly just hoping to keep the momentum going forward and continue what I'm doing so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're on a clear course in that direction, Jaden. You're doing a phenomenal job here, not only in tonight's race, but in the past two races that we've had here as well. Last week, able to secure the third place spot at Sebring, and the week before that, I think you were somewhere in the neighborhood of the top 5, if I recall correctly, top 8. So, Jaden, you're on a very, very good course to the start of the 2023 season, and looking at a very good start to the championship here as well. I know it's still very early to make any calls on that sort of thing, but it is still going to be relevant even in the third race of the season. But Jaden, before I let you go, before you get to celebrating and cracking open a cold one with your teammates and fellow drivers, anyone you want to shout out, anyone watching the broadcast at home, in the pit crew, the floor is yours.
As always, I'd like to thank you and Tony for putting on a great broadcasting league. And it's about time I remember to mention my family. My mom and grandmother are watching, so shout out to them.
Absolutely. Well, Jaden, thank you for joining us up here in the booth, and it's great to have yourself up here as well as I believe your mom in chat cheering you on and giving you your support. So it's great to have you up here for a win early on in the season. But I hope to get to talk to you again next week at Atlanta, and maybe hopefully in similar circumstances.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have yourself a great one, Jaden. Alrighty, folks, that is going to wrap up our interviews for tonight's race here at USA International. For race number 3 of the Velocity Racing League 2023 Cup Series, on behalf of myself and Gareth McAllister, that is our coverage here tonight. And folks, I hope you all enjoyed what you saw here tonight. If you did enjoy what you saw, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad. I believe it's roughly about 5-6 days a week right now, as we're fully back into race season. Everyone is back into the driver's seat, so we are back into the booth nearly full time at this point. But folks, I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in. Every one of you that tunes in each week for these races. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. We wouldn't have the same amount of passion that we do now if it weren't for you guys tuning in every single week. It wouldn't be the same show. So without you guys, we wouldn't be doing what we are doing here today. So thank you all for tuning in every single week. And Gareth, any closing thoughts, any closing notes that you want to end off on here before we end things off?
I mean, you would have ended off beautifully, but then you handed to me, so that's sounds like a bit of a mistake. But I mean that was a beautiful send off. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone tuning in. And this, I can say from my perspective, this basically this group of this community, more than anything else, especially on the YouTube side of things, you know, they're constantly talking in chat and making it fun and exciting for not only everyone watching at home, but also for myself and Mason being able to read the comments and involve you as much as we can in the broadcast, as well as watching the drivers go around and do their thing. So a huge shout out to everyone watching at home once again. So thank you to Oh, I sound like a Oscar Awards show now, just saying thank you to everyone. But yeah, so on behalf of Team Goon Squad, on behalf of Mason and myself, we can't thank you enough. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next week for Velocity Racing League's Hotlanta 250.
Thank you all for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
It looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.